In this video, we're going to do a sale with a trade-in and then show how to receive that trade-in and also return it. So I'm going to hit F5 for point of sale, and I'm just going to choose a customer, Mary Bacon here, for example. Choose my sales invoice, and I'll go ahead and sell her a serialized SKU. We'll select the serial number, and then I'm going to hit the trade button down below, and I'm going to give $100 for her trade-in of a G100 widget. And hit OK there. So you see it reduces the 590 to 490, and then also displays the tax. Now the tax is based off of a setting under maintenance, general maintenance, and locations. There's a trade-in tax code, so you can have tax on total, tax rate 1 on difference, etc. So if you need to change that, that's where you would go for that. But we're just going to use what we have set up here and hit F12 to continue. And we're just going to say this was paid by cash and post it. Normally you'd print this receipt and be on the way. So now the next thing you would typically do is receive the trade-in. If you don't do that right away, there is a report under the report catalog under inventory tab called list trade-ins not received. So when we run that, you can run that for a date range, and we'll just view it on the screen. It'll show Mary Bacon's trade-in has not been received into inventory yet. And that could have been a number of reasons. Maybe it needs some repair work done to it, etc. So now we'll go under Modules, Inventory, Add Change Inventory, and Receive Trade-in. So it's going to ask for the customer that has a trade-in, which is Mary Bacon. And we'll select her, and there's our trade-in. If there's multiple trade-ins for this customer, they'd list out. We hit select, and the first thing it's going to ask is what SKU are we going to assign for this trade-in. And all trade-ins or consignments and purchases all do need to be serialized so they can be tracked within the system because of all the unique cost and things that may go with it. So here we would choose a serialized SKU for that trade-in. If it's an item that you typically carry, you probably have that SKU for it. So for example, if it's a flute, I type in my SKU2SB, I already have that SKU in my system, so I could select that and use that to assign the serial number. If it's an accessory item, you would need to create a SKU for that, and typically what we recommend is creating reusable SKUs. And so you see at the bottom there's options for filtering out, so you can show only reusable SKUs, only reusable SKUs with a zero quantity, or even assemble kits. If the SKU doesn't exist, you can certainly add it on the fly, and you can also add a reusable SKU at that time. So in this case, I'm going to choose a reusable SKU that has zero quantity, and you see it comes up as a manufacturer, Casio, model, ISS, and description, general accessory. Well, that's not what this item is, so I'm going to click the edit button, and I'm just going to go ahead and keep it under the category and subcategory general accessory, but you could certainly change it if needed. And I'm just going to say there is no manufacturer, it's not applicable, but I am going to change the model to be a G100, and I'm going to change the description to say it's a widget. So we'll go ahead and save that change and go ahead and select my SKU now. And at this point we can key in the actual serial number on the item. Again, if it's an accessory, it probably obviously doesn't have a serial number, so you can use this ISI to assign an in-store serial number. And so it does that, and if needed, we can print a label to attach to that so we know which is which, etc. At this point, you see off to the right we have cost, reserve, freight, all that. So we told Mary that we'd be giving her $100 towards a trade, which is fine, we did, but maybe this item cost a little bit more than that. Maybe we stuck $50 more into repair and service. So I can actually change that cost, and in behind the scenes it will update ledger accordingly. So from here I may want to put my retail price. So let's say it's normally $4.99, and I'm going to sell it at $3.99. So I'll go ahead and hit save here, and that trade-in is now received into the system. So if I pull up SA maintenance for that SKU, it goes to there, and I can go into serial info. There's my ISI 1012. So now let's say Mary decides she doesn't want the item that she purchased and just wants to return everything. So again, we can go under modules, returns, and merchandise return and pull up Mary's account, and we can show all items. So I'm going to click that here. So now you'll notice that the total to return is 631, which is without the trade-in value. So it's not reducing it, is what I'm saying. And you'll see below that there is cash paid and trade-in. So when we hit save here, we have return required return reason here, so we'll select that. It comes up with the total amount. Since the trade-in is a form of payment, really, we need to take care of that. So I'm going to say, of this $100, I'm going to create a credit invoice for the trade-in, because we're not going to refund that money back. She wants the trade-in back in this case. If we were keeping the trade-in for that $100 value, then we can refund the whole amount back to them. So I'm just going to say in this case she wants the trade-in back, so I'm going to create a credit invoice for that $100, and then I'm going to change the payment method for the cash, the remaining amount that she paid here, and hit post. So now that's going to refund that cash back to her that she paid, and it also have a credit invoice for the $100 trade-in. So at this point, to give that trade-in back to her, we would actually have to sell it back to her. So under Mary's account again, you see there's a credit. We're going to choose sales invoice, and I type in the trade-in serial number, and it pulls up $399. So I'm going to change that price to 100, and I'm also going to make this a tax-exempt sale. So now there's no tax associated. So when I hit F12 here, I'm going to apply a credit of that $100, post it, and just to show the receipt here, just basically a typical sale, but no taxes collected, so you would not be paying any taxes on that. And now the item is no longer in inventory. We will still have our G100 reusable SKU in the system, but we won't have a quantity or serial numbers assigned to it because that was returned. Thanks.